Here we are, folks. We're live. How are we doing? Hello, TikTok. Hello, Clips. Quick sound check. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through? How are we doing? TikTok, can you hear me? Is anyone watching on TikTok? Okay, we're getting word that the sound is all good. Where is Guy? I'm here. Sorry. We had a stream all set up to go and then we had tech issues. Good, you can hear me. Excellent, loud and clear. This is great. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Here we are again. Thursdays, they come around quickly, don't they? Wow. And here we are. So I'm trying to think back that FTX live stream when it was all kind of still going on. That was 2 weeks ago. 2 of the longest weeks ever. I'm very well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Wow, you guys are hardcore. You guys are hardcore. We're in the absolute depths of the bear market now, folks. Where the bottom is approaching, I feel it, and yet here you guys are. Thank you all for joining. Sorry, anyone who was waiting on Coin Bureau Clips for that previous stream, but we had a few tech issues, as we always do. But we got through them, and here we are. We're on TikTok, a little bit late, but it's fine. You know, it's not like there's huge amounts of good news to talk about this week. Although there's a few interesting things that I've been noticing on my wanderings through the cryptoverse. Good. Yes, I'm here. Anyone in the UK? What is the weather like? I hear it's absolutely diabolical. Is that right? From Bangladesh, fantastic. I came in for Cosmos and you edit the title. Don't worry, I will be talking about Cosmos a little bit because yeah, it's a story something I noticed shortly before I came on air, actually. Glad to hear you talk. Thank you very much. Raining, pouring down in Windsor. Oh, Neil, I'm sorry to hear that. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hello, everyone on TikTok as well. Sorry, last stream I did on TikTok, you guys were a little far away and I wasn't able to interact with you very well. So I do apologize. I'll be much more, I'll try much harder this time. Weather in Mexico is great, sunny and hot. Hello from Kosovo. Oh, wonderful. Hey, buddy, happy Thanksgiving. Yes, let's get the... Let's get the Thanksgiving stuff out of the way early, shall we? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Is it this weekend or is it this Friday? How does it work? Or do you just spend the whole weekend absolutely going mental with family? Guy, are you married? Why are you asking? Yes, I am. Since earlier this year, newly married. Still very much in the flush of happiness, although we had been together for a long time. Okay, hello, Mr. Any chance you know how DCG Group is invested in eToro? I can see them listed on the DCG portfolio. That is a good question. Let me bring that up. I've got this new thing, this new streaming software now, where I can bring people's comments up on stream. Because I did notice that, yeah, I was doing some research on DCG the other day, and I did notice that they were in eToro, along with a heck of a lot of other crypto companies, which is again something we'll talk about shortly. The short answer is, Doug, I don't know how they're invested. I know that eToro is not one of DCG's subsidiaries, wholly owned subsidiaries, because there's only a handful of them, the likes of Foundry, obviously Grayscale, Genesis, CoinDesk. There's an irony. We'll maybe talk about that irony in a bit. And I think there's Luno, I think, is another subsidiary of DCG, but I know that eToro isn't, but I don't know to what extent DCG is invested in eToro. So if anyone from eToro is watching, perhaps they'd like to tell us. But no, I don't know off the top of my head, Doug, but I will try and find out. Okay. So, Guy, are you single? Always nice to be asked. No. Okay, so how are we all doing? Yes, none of this, no financial advice, of course. But so I gather from where everyone is watching, the weather is generally nice unless you are in the UK, where it is absolutely horrible. Well, I mean, from my many happy years spent in the UK, that is what we do over in the UK. But well, For those of you watching here in the UK and wondering, no, I am here in Dubai, and yes, the weather is lovely. So I'm sorry, it had to be said. I do apologize. Don't take it personally. And it's quite weird. Get some sleep, buddy. You look like you're insolvent. I got a reasonable night's sleep last night. It's just been a very long day. Of course, on TikTok, I think there's some beautifying filter because I look a lot younger on the screen in TikTok than I do in real life. But the YouTube camera, I think the high definition camera that we're using here for Coin Bureau clips is obviously adding a good few years and a good few bags under the eyes. I must say, compared to how I've been in some live streams, I'm feeling relatively bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for this one. So you've got it all to look forward to, folks. Okay, so talk about grandmothers in the comments as well. Excellent. Okay, no, you don't look young. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Thanks for joining. You look like 2014 BTC. Okay, right. So what am I going to talk about? We'll start off in a moment or so. We'll start off with a look at the charts, which aren't quite as bad as they might be. They did have a bit of a pump the last couple of days, didn't they? And then what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about some of these contagion fears over FTX. Obviously, FTX is still making all the crypto headlines and lots of mainstream media headlines as well. I guess you've probably all been seeing all the kind of FUD headlines. That is classic bear market, folks. So I know there can be a bit dispiriting to sort of walk past a row of newspapers or magazines or whatever and see, is crypto dead headlines sort of repeated everywhere. But I mean, these come around every time a crypto bear market does, folks. So, after a while, you just let them wash over you. Some of them do actually make quite interesting articles. You've got to look out for one of these articles that's written by, someone good. And in a good publication, and hey, they may be kind of FUD, but quite often you do learn something as well. And so yeah, just let the FUD wash over you, folks. We're here. It's bear market. It's cold AF. Everything's going to be fine in the long run. We've just got to all get through it together. And the best way to do that is to tune in to a live stream from some crypto YouTuber and just let him talk positivity at you for an hour or so. Guy, I made my wife buy ETH and it's going bad and now she hates me. Advice. Oh, good question. Good question. Tell her that she's got to have a long-term view. Tell her that she just needs to, like any investment, the best thing to do is to just put it to one side and forget all about it, and tell her that she will be your biggest fan in maybe a year's time. But yeah, it's always tricky. I read a lot of comments. I see a lot of stuff about people who kind of make their other halves buy things. It's like, guys, just let them find their own way there. It'll make your life much, much easier. Is SBF going to jail? Good question. Wow. So, okay, right. Obviously, SBF is something that we're going to talk about today. I don't know if you guys have seen this. He's seen his latest tweet, but he is going to be appearing. He's going to be talking in conversation at this deal book summit that the New York Times, yeah, that's it, the New York Times, good old New York Times, is hosting on the 30th of this month. So, yeah, so that's right, folks. You did hear that right. SBF, the man who is ultimately responsible for losing billions of dollars, for ruining God knows how many lives, for, basically almost bringing a whole industry to its knees. Don't worry, he's going to be appearing at a conference, at some media conference at the end of this month. And look, I made a video on this earlier for Coin Bureau clips, which I think will be coming out in the next sort of day or so, because I've done a video sort of digging down into some of the other people who are involved in this, because obviously SBF is sort of the main focus, but as we know, there are other people involved with FTX and Alameda Research behind the scenes who have been sort of slightly less visible than SBF. I mean, it's hard not to be, isn't it? Yeah, but it's just extraordinary, isn't it? SBF, yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm appearing at this summit. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be in person, because if he is planning to do that, then he's not only a crook, but also insane into the bargain. But that's crazy, isn't it? That is absolutely crazy. Yes, SBF is a tool. Marie, yep, you've summed it up there. SBF is a complete tool. But any plans on future videos with Dan? Ah, Dan, yes. Dan from, I completely forgot. Last week's live stream just went by in the blink of an eye. So yes, I was joined by Dan Krupke, our head of research at Coin Bureau. Just a brain on legs, that man. I am going to be doing more live streams with him in the future. He's actually back in Prague at the moment. He was visiting us here in Dubai last week. He's back in Prague and his internet is a little bit lame. So I was hoping to maybe have him dial in, but if we can sort him out with some better internet, then I'm definitely going to get Dan back in again, because I think you guys really enjoyed hearing from him last week. Certainly got that impression. SBF works for the US government. Do you know what? There's been a lot of these theories, hasn't there? There's been a lot of conspiracy theories that SBF is in fact like some deep state actor, some deep state, mole who's been kind of planted there. He's, this is all a plot. And I mean, these theories sound so ridiculous, but then you just put together everything that's happened with SBF and FTX and Alameda over the last few weeks, and then you hear what was going on behind the scenes, and you think, that's not the most incredible thing I've ever heard. I've heard stupider stuff. So yeah, if SBF is indeed working for the government, if SBF was indeed planted there to try and bring crypto down from the inside, I mean, he's certainly made a good fist of it, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was true, because folks, after this year, after 2022, I don't think anything is going to surprise me anymore. And I just hope that those aren't famous last words, my word. Okay, so how are we all doing in the comments? How are we doing on TikTok as well? After bottom, BTC will go back to 48K. What do you think about Grayscale? Wow. Any news on you being the next James Bond? Bastian, no, nothing yet. Nothing yet. My phone, where is my phone? My phone hasn't been ringing off the hook with offers of James Bond yet. I don't think I'm even in the frame. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And bear market as well. I need that James Bond gig right now, guys. Here we are, deep in the bear market. Everything's going south. You've got to have a side hustle. I was really counting on Bond coming through, but there we are. There we are. So what else was I going to talk about today? Okay, so I was going to talk about some of this contagion spreading to the likes of DCG and Genesis and Grayscale as well. Oh, horrible. And I was also going to mention, I was also going to rant a bit more, froth at the mouth a bit more about SBF and how he's not in jail and how it's a travesty and what the heck is going on and why has no one from FTX been arrested and why are they just swanning around the Bahamas? One of my favorite rumors was that he was spotted in Grand Cayman recently as well. In fact, Mad Mike from the Coin Bureau podcast, his sister actually, I think, spotted him in Grand Cayman, or so she claims, or colleagues of hers did. So yeah, so we rant about SBF for a while. Might talk briefly about the stock market. Might talk a bit more about Thanksgiving. Are we going to see a Thanksgiving pump? Probably not. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on how to get through Thanksgiving, and of course, let's not forget. I mean, Thanksgiving is just for the Americans, isn't it? But let's not forget, we've also got Christmas coming up as well. So for all of us who don't do Thanksgiving, we have also got these, awkward family moments where people's uncles start talking about crypto. So how are we going to get through that, folks? I've got a couple of things you can talk about. I have to mention stuff to do with our merch store as well. I have to mention that we're having a Black Friday sale on at the Coin Bureau merch store. So if you want like a T-shirt like this or a mug like this, then Coin Bureau merch store is where you could go, because they're all on. There's some crazy discounts there. quite enough shilling of that. I'm also going to talk about all these ideas, all these offers that are coming in, apparently, to make the whole FTX saga into a series, and how I think that is going to mark the top of the next bull market. What else? I'm going to talk about Cosmos as well. I'm going to move on to something, more crypto related. We're going to talk about Cosmos. Might have a quick discussion about Litecoin as well. Litecoin's been doing well, hasn't it? Good old LTC. LTC, what an OG crypto. Anyone out there holding Litecoin? Anyone in the comments? Okay, and I'm going to rant maybe about the 3 Arrows Capital guys, how they seem to be merrily just swanning around the place and at large. Let's see, and what else does I talk about? I might talk about Tether, but I mean, do we need more Tether FUD? Don't know. And just I'm going to talk about sentiment in the crypto market in general, and how it's really low, and how you guys are all heroes for sticking around. Yeah, just kind of look forward to some of the things coming up. Shall we have a quick look at the charts? Quick look and see how crypto is doing today. Okay. So do you remember earlier this week, obviously, it just started crashing. BTC went below 16K. ETH was looking like it was going to go below 1K at one point, I think. But it seems to have recovered a little bit. And I think the main reason for that recovery seems to be the Fed minutes. Good old Fed. It wouldn't be long before I started talking about the Fed, would it? So we had the Fed minutes released yesterday. And what they show basically is that a lot of Fed board members are starting to feel a lot more dovish about inflation. So what that means is they want to see these interest rate hikes really slowed. So it does seem like investors are pricing in just a 50 basis point raise next month. Obviously, I think the general consensus was before the minutes came out that we were probably due another 75 basis point raise. That's certainly what I was expecting. But the markets seem to be expecting 50 next month. And that is because the minutes of the Fed meeting are basically revealing that Fed board members are starting to get a little bit jumpy about how high and how quickly interest rates are climbing. So that, I think, is the main catalyst behind the sort of rally we've seen over the past sort of 48 hours or so, 24, 48 hours. So Bitcoin, yeah, holding 16.5K, ETH holding around 1,200. And obviously, just having a look down, yeah, Litecoin really is the big gainer. A few other things up, a few exchange tokens up, obviously, but nothing. Chainlink, what was it about? I did see something about Chainlink as well. Chainlink, I think, had a bit of good news earlier. Bitcoin Cash, no idea why that is up. ApeCoin, no idea why that is up. And does anyone care? Probably not. Anyhow, okay. So, all right. Thank you. Oh, thanks for all your nice comments, by the way, folks. Thanks for joining as well. And yeah, I hope you guys, Chainlink staking, 6th of December. Thank you, Bomber. Okay, well, I'm sure I saw some other good news about Chainlink. Did it have a jump in the number of active addresses or something like that? Anyhow, Chainlink seems to be having a good week, and ApeCoin releasing staking soon. Oh, so it's basically all the news around staking that's carrying these things higher. Okay, so Bitcoin Cash was adopted by some country. Wow, I'm just going to ask you guys questions. Do anyone know which country Bitcoin Cash was adopted by? That's a funny old project, isn't it? That is, yeah. Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are two of those ones. Whenever you see a company or a service adopting crypto payments, it's always BTC and ETH, obviously, and then like Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. It's strange, but I mean, I guess they are sort of quite payment friendly cryptos, those last two. Yeah, it seems to be that, and obviously it's important to note as well, folks, that whilst all this is happening, whilst all this FUD is out there, whilst everyone's panicking, whilst prices are growing gradually lower, crypto adoption is still spreading, and this is stuff that I hear a lot anecdotally as well, just sort of out and about in the crypto community here in Dubai, and kind of keeping my ear to the ground. there's still so much adoption. There's still so much building going on, folks. It's just kind of happening in the background. You don't tend to hear so much about it in the crypto media and certainly the mainstream media. But it is happening, folks. It is happening, and that's what happens in bear markets. It just kind of goes underground and it just kind of simmers away, getting ready to erupt when the bull market comes back. Hey, Bitcoin. St. Kitts and Nevis. Okay. Well, St. Kitts and Nevis, there we are. Yes, I did hear something about that. Anyhow, I thought that was a while ago, or maybe that was a while ago that they actually announced it. Anyhow, okay, so those are the things I was going to talk about, and obviously we'll just kind of interact with you guys as well. I hope you're all coping with the bear market blues okay. You know, it's not much fun, is it? It can be a little bit boring at times, these bear markets, but you know, it's like I was chatting with some colleagues earlier, and we were saying, like, you know, bear markets are a fact of life, folks, and we need them. We need them not only in crypto, but we need them in you know, in regular markets as well. The stock market needs them because we need these periods. Nothing can go up forever, because if something does keep going up forever, it's just not right. It's just not right. It disobeys the laws of physics and everything else. So we do need these corrections. We do need things to come down, and we do need periods where bad money is shaken out, where bad projects go to the wall, and it's painful, and people lose money and they get very dispirited, and it can be a very tough time. And I think, going back to what I was saying earlier, it can also be quite boring as well. You know, if you remember sort of looking, you know, those times when crypto is really pumping and you wake up in the morning and like the first thing you do is check the charts, and it's just like, wow, none of that at the moment, is there? Like I've stopped checking the charts of a morning. I just don't bother. So, and that's when you know you're in a bad market. Okay, lots of people asking about Solana, and I put out a video about this a few days ago. And look, Solana is in a really bad place at the moment. Let's just have a look at the chart, shall we? Solana is dropping. Solana is, you know, on its way to dropping out of the top 20 at this rate. It has had a pump over the last few hours. Now, I did see something about that, but I mean, Solana is really struggling. But as I said in this video, folks, the thing that gives me hope for Solana are the projects in its ecosystem. And I think, you know, it's got a tough job to survive over the coming, over the coming months and maybe years. But certainly it does have a lot of people working on it. It's got a good, strong community, and it has got good projects as well. Some of them, you know, those of them that survive. So is Solana going to make it? I honestly don't know, folks. I would think probably at the moment it's about 50-50. But yeah, it's so keep a good eye on it. I got killed on Sol and liquidated. Ow. Well, yeah, it's certainly been tough. I know there are a lot of Sol holders out there, and yeah, these last few weeks have been really tough for them. I sold out of Sol when all this started going down, and I'm keeping it in dry powder, folks. I am planning to go back into Sol if I see things improve, but I think we're going to have to wait a while for that. You know, I think at Solana Labs it's going to have to be head down and building. And obviously there's not only the fact that they were so heavily tied to FTX and Alameda, but also they've got this competition from the likes of Aptos and Sui as well. I can't remember when Sui is due for release. I mean, those two projects obviously backed big time by FTX and Alameda too. Could they have chosen a worse time to make a debut? But yeah, it's tough out there. It's tough out there for all projects, folks. But yeah, Solana's certainly having a more difficult time of it than most others. So, okay, not selling Sol. I refuse to make losses. I'll wait as long as it takes. Heather, I take my hat off to you. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so I wanted to talk about some of the contagion fears around FTX. Now, a lot of this relates to Genesis Trading, this big kind of institutional broker, this big market maker for institutions. And it has, there's been a lot of FUD swirling around about that. They have brought in restructuring lawyers, a restructuring firm. It does look like there is a decent chance of Genesis going bankrupt. Now, this would obviously lead to a lot of selling of its assets. And of course, as you're probably aware, this kind of, everything is so interconnected in crypto. Genesis is owned by Digital Currency Group, this massive crypto company that has stakes in so many different projects. Genesis is one of its wholly owned subsidiaries, so DCG is particularly exposed to Genesis. Now, as I understand it, DCG has about $1.6 billion of loans from Genesis, and so if Genesis does go under, that means Genesis's creditors can go after DCG. Now, DCG is obviously, it's a big company. It's got a lot of money, but that would still be, some pretty hefty, some pretty tough pressure on it. So I'm surprised really how well the crypto market is holding up really in the face of these fears. Yeah, it certainly seems to be something that we need to be aware of. I think it can go either way, really, this situation with Genesis. But from what I'm reading, they're having to go out and seek external funding and basically knock on doors, and it doesn't look like anyone is answering. So, and obviously there are also concerns around Grayscale, which is another wholly owned subsidiary of DCG, and concerns around Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, obviously these GBTC shares. Now, if Grayscale is forced to unwind this trust, the worry is that it would have to basically pay back its GBTC holders. It would have to give them back dollar value for their shares rather than BTC. Now, what this would mean is that we would see a pretty apocalyptic level of selling of BTC, because as I remember rightly, I think Grayscale is, the single largest holder of actual BTC, and it's obviously holding this in order to back up the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is has been trading at a discount for a very long time, but is one of the ways, was basically the first way that many institutions could get exposure to BTC, but it hasn't done all that well, in recent times, especially as kind of more institutional investment vehicles for BTC have opened up. And yeah, obviously it is holding. I think it's holding north of 600K Bitcoin. So if those do hit the market, then we could be in for, then we could well be tracking lower as well. So do keep an eye on this whole Genesis, Grayscale, DCG situation, folks. If it plays out badly, then we are certainly going lower from here. I do happen to think that we will go lower from here, regardless of that anyway. Again, like I said last week, and I think the week before, the thing that I'm keeping a very close eye on is miners. I have seen the fact that some miners are really, really struggling now. And it's not just the fact that they're struggling through the low BTC price and the high electricity prices as well. There's also the very present risk that they could be forced to shut down their operations if we see wide-scale energy shortages in Europe and USA and elsewhere. So that is something, that is a major risk to BTC and obviously to the rest of the crypto market as well. So keep an eye on those miners, folks. Keep an eye. Dinesh Kumar, any update regarding Mt. Gox? Wow. We're going a long way back in time there. I think Mt. Gox has been, worries over Mt. Gox have been overtaken by rather more current concerns. I haven't heard it. The only things I've heard about Mt. Gox in the last couple of weeks is obviously everyone, myself included, comparing it to what's happened with FTX and Alameda. And I saw an interesting piece today saying, oh, Mt. Gox, was actually a lot worse at the time because it accounted for a much higher volume of of Bitcoin trading than FTX did. You know, a much higher percentage share of overall trading. But obviously, we're still waiting for those Mt. Gox users, those Mt. Gox holders at the time, to be reimbursed. So there's a lot of potential Bitcoin to hit the market when they ever do get reimbursed. But wow, I mean, yeah, and I think this should give an indication to any creditors of FTX out there. It's like those guys from Mt. Gox have been waiting 8 years, and this is unfortunately how long these things can take. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough, I know. SBF, some bullshit fella. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So are you still holding BTC? I certainly am. I certainly am. I'm holding on for dear life. I will be accumulating more BTC when prices go lower, but like I say, I am expecting prices to go lower from here. So I'm not really buying anything at the moment. I am sitting back. I'm keeping all my crypto in a hardware wallet. I'm keeping it all secure. And I hope you're doing the same, folks. And obviously, I mentioned earlier on in the stream that there's still a lot of concerns around Tether. People are still very worried, and you know, there is always going to be those concerns around Tether until they submit to a proper audit. And as long as there are those concerns, there is always a danger. So, folks, first of all, you should be holding your crypto in your own self-hosted wallet, ideally a hardware wallet, but a mobile or browser wallet. If you don't have one of those, you should be keeping your seed phrase nice and safe, which is why you can use one of these Coin Bureau seed cards. But there are some other really interesting ways to keep your seed phrase safe. In fact, I've got something out there that I was sent. I've got a crypto tag, which is bulletproof and can be thrown in a furnace, and it's made of titanium. So there's all sorts of ways that you can keep your seed phrase safe. So make sure self-custody wallet, keep your seed phrase safe. And folks, if you are holding dry powder in stablecoins, please make sure that you're holding them in a range of stablecoins. So let's say you're holding $300 of stablecoins, maybe hold $100 of USDC, maybe hold $100 of BUSD, maybe hold $100 of USDT, whatever it is, but make sure you keep them, you know, and keep them in different places, folks. But if you've got everything in one stablecoin, then that is a risk as well, because if that stablecoin issuer goes to the wall, and it's not just Tether I'm talking about here, you know, okay, Circle is a very well capitalized company, Paxos is well capitalized and regulated up the wazoo, but we never know, folks. We can never be sure. So don't be caught out. Make sure your holdings of stablecoins are diversified as well, and ideally kept in your own self-hosted wallet. And, you know, I'm just going to keep saying this until the end of time, because there'll always be someone who needs to hear it. Norway Nature, it's a nice name. Any thoughts about Exodus wallet? Yes, I like Exodus. I use Exodus myself. I've got a little bit of crypto sitting in my Exodus at the moment. Obviously, Exodus did have a built-in exchange service, which was provided by FTX. So I haven't actually checked in the last few days what Exodus's kind of built-in exchange solution is at the moment, but I imagine they're having to work on a new one. But obviously, that aside, I think Exodus wallet is very good. Seed card, any Black Friday offer? Yeah, I think these are on Black Friday offer, by the way. You can tell it's bear market, can't you? Anyhow, oh, Jerome Al's out of the picture. Sorry. Anyhow, so yes, folks, remember Crypto Safety 101. Very, very important. Diversify, self-custody, keep your seed phrases safe, all this sort of stuff. Thoughts on privacy coins like Monero? Will they be used by people who refuse the CBDCs? Sorry, mugs are on sale as well. Yes, Monero, it's been quite privacy coins. I haven't seen an awful lot about them recently, but yeah, they are certainly going to be one of the best tools to use against a future CBDC. And yeah, Monero's tech is quite extraordinary. There are several other privacy coins out there as well. Not all of them are complete privacy coin. Not all of them are privacy by default, like Monero. Obviously, well, Litecoin is a good example. Litecoin now has some privacy features built into it. Did you see that SHIB, Decentraland, Sandbox, and Facebook are going to a WEF meeting? I did see something about that. Yeah, Shiba Inu being invited to join the World Economic Forum, or maybe not join, but yeah, invited to participate in the World Economic Forum. What on earth is going on there? Yeah, that's weird. So, I like your T-shirt. Thank you very much. Yeah, salt bay. Okay. Mine Monero, you won't regret it. I did actually have a Monero mine at one point, but yeah, it was becoming too expensive to run on electricity. It's back there in London somewhere. I must bring it out here. Has Guy left London? Yes, Lay, I have left London. I'm now based here in sunny Dubai. Not that you can tell, I'm actually imprisoned here in my little studio at the moment. But yes, I am based in Dubai. I've been based out here for a few months now, and yes, the weather is lovely. Thanks very much for asking. Yes, here we are. I wanted to. Now I keep meaning to bring these comments up on screen. Mr. CZRC, did you hear that Amazon have bought the rights to make a TV show based on the FTX collapse? Yes, I did. Now, apparently, this is being made by the people behind the Marvel movies. Is it the Russo brothers, who I think have directed several Marvel movies? You know, Avengers Infinity movie, or Avengers Never Ending, or whatever it is. So yeah, so apparently these guys, and I read it was for 8 episodes. So not only that, but I think Apple are also bidding for the rights to. Now, were you aware that Michael Lewis, who is the author of The Big Short, were you aware that he's been working on a video on a book about SBF, and been sort of following him around for I think the last year or so, and I imagine is writing away furiously as we speak, because that story has certainly had an interesting twist in the last couple of weeks. And as far as I'm aware, Apple are bidding for the rights to that book. So basically, folks, now don't forget, of course, we've also got the fact that Camilla Russo's book, The Infinite Machine, is being made into a movie by Ridley Scott's production company. And sorry. I do apologize. And Laura Shin's book about Ethereum as well, The Cryptopians, there's also talk of making that into a series as well. So these are my thoughts, folks. Basically, when we see the FTX movie, the Sam Bankman-Fried biopic, the Ethereum movie, and Ethereum the series, basically when they all come out at the same time and you can't switch on a streaming platform without watching something about crypto, that is when the top of the next bull market will be. Mark my word, folks. Mark my words. When you're sitting there munching on popcorn, watching Jonah Hill play SBF on Amazon, or watching someone else play him on Apple, that is when the top is. So that will be your time to sell. Okay, not financial advice, obviously, but yeah, I've never been more convinced of anything in my life. So yeah, because you know, that will be. And obviously, these, you know, there is good reason for that. That's not just me being, you know, that's not just me being silly. I think, you know, these studios, they'll be looking to release, put these releases out when interest in crypto is at its absolute peak, which is obviously when prices are highest. So that will be your signal, folks. And we should do a watch along, shouldn't we? Is that a thing? I think that's a thing, isn't it? I'm a bit out of touch with what young people do these days, but maybe we could all get together and do a watch along of these things, and we can just sort of and then we can be those irritating people who pick out all the inaccuracies. It's like, no, no, that's wrong. No, not like that. Trading on FTX was never like that. And that will be probably released after mid-2024. Yes, you're right, Mr. CRZ. Yeah, I think we've got a while for those to come out. And of course, you know, it ties in quite nicely as well, because these things will take, I mean, I would imagine an 8-episode series about the collapse of FTX. I mean, there's a lot of material there, so that's got to be written, that's got to be cast, that's got to be shot. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. So yeah, mid-2024, which is obviously kind of around when the Bitcoin halving is. And yeah, that's certainly that's the kind of period I was targeting for the bull market returning anyway. But that all said, folks. If you watched last week's stream, you might remember Dan and me talking a little bit about you know, some of the things basically about 2023. And I think the general consensus is that 2023 is going to be a pretty tough year. It's going to be, yeah, there's going to be a lot of kind of sideways movement. I think I think prices are probably going to bottom out quite possibly around the end of this year, quite possibly next month, or early 2023. And then I think a lot of 2023 is going to be sideways movement. The crypto markets are going to be very, very dull. There's not going to be much going on the surface. But there are a few things that we can look out for. There'll be a few green shoots as well. A lot of those will be macro focused as well. I'm not going to give away what those are, but I am going to be doing a video about that very, very soon. That will be coming out in the next few days or so. So do keep your eyes out for that, folks, because it's not all doom and gloom. There are potential white swans on the horizon as well. And let's face it, you know, we have had quite cheering news in the last couple of weeks when we look at things like inflation in the United States. Obviously not in the UK, where inflation is currently 11.1%. But certainly there are signs that inflation may have peaked in the US, and obviously that was you know, informed by these Fed minutes we recently saw. We had some CPI numbers. Was it last week? I think it was last week, or maybe the week before, which suggested that inflation is at least beginning to tail off a little bit in the US. So that is a good sign as well. Obviously, these interest rate hikes are going to continue for a while, and we could see interest rates remain kind of stubbornly high for a while. But, you know, these things will pass, folks. We'll get there in the end. So shouldn't white swan be just a normal day? I mean, most swans are white. You're right, John Mod. I'm going to put that comment up. Yeah, there we are. Shouldn't white swans be? Yeah, okay. You're right. Okay, crypto bottom. Duncan Bates says crypto bottom by end of first quarter, hopefully. Stock market probably second to third quarter, in my opinion. Quite possibly. It's interesting, the stock market. Stock markets, you know, have been pumping since October, and I think this is again related to these inflation figures. But folks, that should be a warning sign as well, because obviously crypto has kind of diverged from the stock market a bit because of FTX. But I think that correlation still does hold to an extent. So be prepared. If we do see the stock market go lower, then it could take crypto lower with it as well. So do be aware of that, folks. And yeah, obviously inflation has a while to go yet. We're stuck with it for the time being, I'm afraid. What's this? Oh, thank you, Guy. First time you react to my comment, I thought, why did it doesn't show up? I'm John Mod. I'm glad that's made your day. Okay, right. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, guys. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Obviously, that doesn't apply to probably most people watching the stream. But if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, wherever you're celebrating it, enjoy, folks. Enjoy. And yeah, obviously, we've got Christmas coming up as well. In fact, just over a month to go until Christmas. Wow, that snuck up fast. My neighbors here in Dubai have already got their Christmas tree up, which is kind of insane. I mean, they do have kids, so you know. But yeah, obviously Christmas is on its way. Thanksgiving is upon us. So how do you cope? How do you cope when all your family is sitting there? and they turn to you and go, so hey, how's that crypto going? Have you seen that meme, by the way? There's Mr. Investor. How are your little coins doing? Are you a millionaire yet? Oh, you've got to laugh. Yes. So how are you going to cope with this, folks? How are you going to cope with all these smart-ass members of your family asking you about crypto? Well, I think the first thing that you should point out, folks, is that this is not a failure of crypto. A crypto project has not failed. A centralized exchange and a centralized trading platform, now they've certainly failed, and they failed spectacularly, but none of the coins and tokens they were trading on, they didn't fail. Bitcoin didn't stop producing blocks. Ethereum is still going strong. You know, prices may be down, but this is not a failure of crypto. So that is something you need to make these people aware of, folks. And yes, the crypto space is dealing with its very own Bernie Madoff. But Bernie Madoff was a lot, you know, we're talking multiple billions more than Sam Bankman-Fried. And yeah, they didn't shut down Wall Street, did they? They didn't shut down Wall Street when they found out what a fraud Bernie Madoff was. Yeah, you know, he spent a lot of time. Well, he spent the rest of his life in jail. Yeah, we're not quite sure when SBF is going to see the inside of a prison cell. But yeah, it's so there you are, folks. A couple of things to consider when you're sat down with family and having to defend crypto to them. Remember, this isn't a failure of crypto. This is a failure of a centralized service, and it's a story of human greed. Human incompetence, and it's an indictment upon communal living and polyamory, if you ask me, and stimulants and whatever else those weirdos were up to in that penthouse in the Bahamas. My word, it just gets so strange the more you read about it, doesn't it? Anyhow, gosh, we're getting quite close to time now. So I wanted to talk about a couple of crypto things. Obviously, it wasn't crypto projects that failed, but there are a couple of things noteworthy about particular crypto projects out there at the moment. Obviously, Litecoin has had a good few days now. That, I think, is because a couple of days ago, Litecoin processed its 135 millionth transaction. And we've also got the Litecoin halving coming up. Now, that is not until next year. So, you know, it does seem an odd thing to be getting excited about. But when you look back at historical data, you see that Litecoin does tend to pump in advance of its halving event. So that is something to look out for. That is not until, I think the Litecoin halving is due either June or July 2023. But I think a lot of this pump that we're seeing on LTC could be in anticipation of that halving event. And obviously that will see LTC's block reward cut to 6 and a bit LTC. And look, you know, as I said earlier, Litecoin is still a very popular crypto. It still has a lot of use. It's one of these cryptos that tends to get used as a medium of exchange in a lot of these, you know, in a lot of these places that are adopting crypto a lot quicker than many others. And obviously, that's what Litecoin was very much built for. Litecoin was built to be light. It was built to be, you know, easily used as a payment. So, and I think as well, you know, Litecoin has been around, as I said, for a long, long time. It's one of the OG cryptos. It's hanging on in there. It's stuck around stubbornly, refusing to go. And I think a lot of people could perhaps be seeing LTC as a kind of, as a bit of a crypto safe haven in these testing times. So that, I think, is why we've seen a pump for LTC over the last few days. And obviously keep an eye on Litecoin as we get towards that halving event in the middle of next year. LTC old tech. Well, Epic Rising, yes, LTC, it is old tech in a way, but they are still working on it. There is still development happening. Obviously, we had the Mimblewimble earlier this year, so LTC now has some privacy features as well. So yeah, it's still going. Don't write off LTC. At your peril. Don't write off all the OGs. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about, the other thing that an interesting sort of crypto-focused headline that I spotted was regarding Cosmos. Now, folks, full disclosure, you know that I hold Atom. You know that I am a big fan of Cosmos. And one thing anecdotally I should say about Cosmos as well is whenever I speak to devs, whenever I speak to really techie people, they are always into Cosmos. They're always into Atom. And I know a few people who've kind of discovered it, you know, who are big kind of, who are big ETH maxis and have now discovered Cosmos and are like, wow, this tech is incredible. So as you know, I'm a big fan of Cosmos and I do hold Atom. But this thing that caught my eye, this headline that was caught my eye, now you might remember a few weeks ago, they released a proposal for Atom 2.0. And the Cosmos community has now voted on that proposal and they've rejected it, which I thought was really, really interesting. And from what I could see reading about it, they liked some parts of the proposal, but not others. And I think they thought a lot of it was a little bit vague in places. So yeah, I think basically they've sort of said to the Cosmos team, okay, we like some of this, but you need to go back to the drawing board. And a few things stuck out about it as well. So obviously that means that we won't be seeing a large mint of Atom anytime soon, because that was mooted. And we won't see a drop in staking rewards either. Now, obviously Atom is one of those coins that that has some pretty decent staking rewards. I'm staking a bit of Atom through my Exodus wallet and getting a nice return on it. So that's something to consider as well. And apparently voter turnout for this Atom 2.0 proposal that they rejected, voter turnout for the proposal, I'm quoting from a Blockworks article here, voter turnout for the proposal reached 73.41%, a standard amount for the Cosmos ecosystem. And I have to say, folks, it is great to see that level of engagement. You know, that says to me that the Cosmos community is really, really strong. If you're having that sort, you know, if you're having that kind of level of voter turnout on this sort of thing, obviously it's a fairly big issue, but yeah, it seems that, you know, kind of around that three quarters of holders voting, that is really, really impressive. So yeah, good for them, good for Cosmos, and let's see what the devs come back with, because I think the message seems to be, it's like, yep, we want to see some, we want to see changes to Cosmos, we want to see changes to Atom, but we want you to go back and work on these a bit before you implement them. Okay, so Cosmos is a really good project anyway. It certainly is. It certainly is. Kepler and Exodus are completely different things. Yes, they are. Kepler, obviously, Cosmos's browser extension wallet. That is very much worth a try as well. John McDermott, I made it. I finally made a live. John, well done. I'm going to show your comment there. Well done, John. And what a one to make as well. Goodness me, the last couple of weeks we've had sort of multiple thousands of people watching the live, and it's a little bit lower on that. It's a little bit lower on that this week, and well, that tells you everything you need to know about crypto sentiment in general, folks. But it's great to have you here nonetheless. Thank you, John. Yes, I am doing well, despite all the bear market blues, despite the fact that it's very, very hot in here. Yes, it's great to have you here. Thank you all for joining me today. It's almost time. Wow, that flew by. These live streams, they always fly by, folks. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about quickly? I have mentioned the Coin Bureau merch store Black Friday sale. I'm gonna shill it one more time. Go on, folks. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, I've wished everyone a happy Thanksgiving. The other thing that I wanted to rant about as well, just very, very briefly, just going back to Sam Bankman-Fried and all his little cronies, none of them are in jail. I've seen pictures earlier today of SBF just chilling on a balcony in the Bahamas. Meanwhile, folks, the Tornado Cash dev, Andrei Pertsev, the Tornado Cash dev is sitting in jail in the Netherlands. As I understand, he still hasn't been charged. They've just locked him up without charge. They extended, Chad, thank you very much, sir. They've extended his time in jail, and it's just absolutely, it's scandalous, folks. Meanwhile, the SBFs of this world walk around. Do Kwon's still happily tweeting away as though Lunk or new Luna or whatever it is was at $110, just merrily tweeting away, enjoying himself. Those 3 Arrows Capital guys, one's in Malaysia, one's up the road down the road in Abu Dhabi here. Meanwhile, Ross Ulbricht is languishing in jail, and Andrei Pertsev, the Tornado Cash dev, is languishing in jail now, and that just shows you what an unfair world it is, folks. Yeah, that's it's not right. I wanted to close on that thought, folks. It's a bit of a sobering thought, but yeah, scandalous that those guys are in jail and the likes of SBF and others aren't. But there we are. Anyway, folks, that is about it for today. That brings us up to 7 p.m. here in Dubai. As you can probably tell from my voice, I need to get away and drink some water and generally chill out. I've got a few more videos to film for you tomorrow as well. There's lots more content coming your way here on Coin Bureau Clips. I've got a nice video about some of Sam Bankman-Fried's cronies. That'll be coming your way on Clips very soon. There'll be more stuff on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. I'll still be tweeting away like mad. So I hope, folks, and of course, I will be back live streaming again, same time next week. Hey, maybe we'll start on time. Maybe we won't have the same tech issues we had at the start of this one. Thanks again. Thanks for all the donations, folks. I appreciate it very much. But thank you for joining me today, folks. It's been lovely hanging out with you. Thanks for all your comments, suggestions. That's nice. Thank you, Marie. Love your channel, guy. You and your team are wonderful. Thanks for shouting out the team as well, Marie. Because yes, the team here at Coin Bureau, they never get enough credit, and they are a wonderful bunch, very, very hardworking as well. So here's to all of Team Coin Bureau who make this happen. Thank you all for joining. How's your diet compared to the UK? That's an interesting one. I have actually been on a diet. I have actually lost a bit of weight over the last few weeks, and that's not all from worrying about crypto. But yeah, the food here in Dubai is interesting. Like, there's some good stuff, but you have to really pay for it, or kind of or ideally get your wife to make it for you at home. But yeah, there's some pretty I'm not 100% taken with the food here in Dubai. I'll leave it at that. But I'll be back in the UK in a few weeks' time, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing some rain and not seeing the sun for a few days as well. Anyhow, folks, thank you everyone for joining. Your skin and bones need to eat a larger breakfast. Well, yes, maybe I should go off and stuff my face. Anyway, folks, that's quite enough for me from 1 week. Thank you all so much for joining. I will see you next time. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crypto, be nice to each other. It's been great. See you again soon. Okay.